Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. When we talk about transforming the current practice in education, perhaps from the teacher-centered setting to a student-centered setting, there are a few important questions that we need to ask per everything. First of all, we have to reflect on our understanding regarding learning process nowadays. Are we still subscribing ourselves to the same idea of learning as it was previously? Or perhaps there are significant changes occurred in the definition or in the way we perceive education? Because perhaps 20-30 years ago, teacher was the single or the main source of knowledge for students, because at that time we didn't have internet, we didn't have multimedias, we didn't have many sources of knowledge. So teacher was the window for students to see the outside world. I got to know Japan, I got to know fishing industry in Norway from the teacher who taught me geography. And because of that, the idea of teachers dominating the activities in the classroom was very normal, because students were relying to the max to the teachers in the classroom. But when we are living in what we have now today, where all of us, including the children, are overwhelmed with information. We have internet, we have all sorts of tools which are sources of knowledge for students. So for a teacher to imagine that he or she is the one who become the main key for the students to know things, to move from not knowing into knowing something, is beyond practice. Because we have to accept that at one point our students might know more than the teachers themselves. I can still remember in my classroom when we were discussing about in study skill, I was having this lesson with year 1 students back home in Khalifah Model School Secondary. We were discussing about knowing what to know and knowing how to know. Knowing what to know is more critical than knowing how to know, because for several reasons. So we did a project. I gave a task to students to work in groups for them to plan a trip to one European capital city. They can choose which capital city they want. So they need to figure out what are the things that they need to know. Then we will assist on the second part, how to know. So one interesting thing that happened is one of my students said, if you want to travel smoothly, you must have a healthy thumb. With something surprising us. I asked the students what a healthy thumb has to do with traveling to European capital city. So the student said he remembered once when he traveled with his family, his father cut his finger, the thumb, and because of that, when the father went through the immigration machine, the machine failed to detect the fingerprint because of the cut on the finger, and it caused some troubles at that time. We were very surprised when he mentioned that. So I pointed out to the student saying that this is why our discussion is important, because you know certain things that we do not know, but you don't realize that there are learning values in the things that you already know. So my duty, my position is to highlight that, which means that by collaborating, having discussion, sharing point of views, heading towards a common objective, we learn so many new things. That's something you cannot get from perhaps the best teacher. So that is why when we want to discuss about the importance of introducing a new and a more dynamic way of learning, we have to re-examine the way we perceive learning itself. Do we still imagine learning as what we had in our personal experience maybe 30 years ago? Or nowadays learning has different setting, different direction, because people change, technology change, challenges are different, and because of that we have to relearn things related to education and not solely based on our personal reflection. Wallahu a'lam. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.